Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start with a touching story about a beloved local fish restaurant, Shelly's, known not just for its delicious seafood dishes, but also for the heartwarming presence of its founder. Over decades, Shelly herself, an elderly but hard-working waitress, remained a fixture, delighting regulars despite her quirks. But when entitled customers crossed the line, they learned the hard way that Shelly's wasn't just a restaurant, it was a legacy. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Shelly's Legacy, where good food and better karma serve the day. Shelly's was a great fish restaurant close to where I used to work. They made food that was much better than you would think from a strip mall outside. The pasta jambalaya, shrimp bluey, and lobster roll were my favorites, and lunch was pretty cheap. If you stuck to the lunch menu, it was usually $15 with a tip. You could eat as many bread rolls as you wanted, and they were really tasty. I will say that one of the waiters was a little pushy. She was over 70 and used to smoke. It took her 2 or 3 breaths to ask you, "What do you want to drink?" And a little hard of hearing, which makes things hard for my Australian expat co-worker who speaks softly. But she was always there. You held your tongue because you knew the cook would add a little something extra to your plate and sometimes give you free dessert, homemade Boston cream pie. Not the Karens, who said bad things about her and laughed behind her back and asked to be moved to a different place by the manager, who was also an owner. Of course, let me show you the patio. We both looked at each other because we know that the patio is only open for dinner. After 15 minutes, they stomped back in to report that no one had come to take their order. They had to go back to the office, so what was he going to do? Most people take the hint, lady. They stuttered and left, unable to say anything. In the meantime, our waitress came by with the bill and a free pie. Anything else, boys? We're good, Shelly. Thanks for the pie. Be good, you guys. See you next week. Then she went off on her own, still working at the restaurant she opened more than 60 years ago, and is now running with her son as manager at the time of the event. P.S. Shelly died just before COVID from problems linked to her emphysema. She was 89 years old and working in the restaurant she opened with her husband when they were 19 years old and ran for 70 years. She still went to work every day, even though her son took over as manager. She worked during lunch and sometimes early dinner if she felt good. There were many happy times for my wife and me over the years, including the 3 years she tried and failed to get pregnant. Shelly ate lunch and dinner there more than once. Sounds like Shelly's is the kind of place that you'll remember long after the last meal. Not just because of the food, though a warm Boston cream pie is hard to beat, but also because of the warm people who made it. It was clear that Shelly was at the center of everything, with her gruff charm and unwavering work ethic. She didn't just serve food, she also shared a piece of her past, her life, and her love for the place she made. Also, let's not forget the symbolic justice that was done to the Karens. Requesting to be moved and then being seated on a porch that doesn't work? Golden. People like Shelly and her son didn't put others down, and it's not often that people have that much spine. And our second story. Am I invisible today? I'm in a wheelchair. Can't even stand, let alone anything else. So anyway, on to my story. A couple of years ago, I had to send some postcards because there were a few in a bigger envelope. They had to be weighed rather than just posted in the outside box to my family who live overseas. My hubby was going to do it, but I thought I'd do him a favor and take them myself. He had other things to do. So I get to post office and take a look at the queue, inwardly thinking, oh yay, this is going to take a while, yippee. So I take my place in the queue and wait for my turn. The next thing I know, a lady walks in with a big box. Side note, she didn't seem like she was struggling under the weight of this box. It was just bulky. I'm getting close to my turn by this point. And instead of going to the back of the queue, she just stands next to me. Not really thinking much of it, I just continue to wait and be called. Side note, the lady at the counter wasn't particularly paying attention to the queue, just calling next up. It gets to my turn, and the lady jumps in front of me and takes my turn. I let it go. She gets served, and as I move forward to take my turn, another lady who'd stood at the side of me with lots of parcels while waiting for the previous lady to be served. Problems with the equipment arose, so it took a while. She tried to take my place again. I just said to the person behind me, "Excuse me, but am I invisible today? Can you see that's twice now I've been queue jumped?" He laughed and said, "No, love, I see you." The lady at the counter looked up at the queue at this point, and I'm guessing she heard my exchange with the guy. She shouted at the lady to join the queue properly. The lady huffed and said, "But I need to send this lot." Counter lady then replied, "So take your place like everyone else or you're free to leave." Parcel lady then tried, but I was here first. The guy I spoke to then shot back with, "No, you weren't, she was," and pointed me out. Counter lady again gave her the option to wait or feel free to leave. Another side note, counter lady was the only one on the post office bit. By this time, the queue had snaked around the whole shop. Parcel lady then shot me the dirtiest look and called me something I won't repeat here, but let's just say it's not something you would say to someone with disabilities in particular. And then went to queue up. On hearing this, counter lady said, "Get the heck out of my shop now. I'm not serving you." Not the word she used, but I'm keeping it PG. Parcel lady then says, "But the other place is miles away. It's not fair." Counter lady then shot back, "Don't care, not my problem, out now, or I'm calling the police." At this, parcel lady started crying and dropping her parcels. Not one person helped her pick them up, but she left and I finally got to send off my parcel. Unfortunately, not the only experience I've had like this. With uncaring people, I've had bags to the face, people suddenly walking in front of my chair and getting bumped into when I couldn't stop quickly enough kind of thing. Another time I went shopping with my hubby and we parked up in the disabled area. Legitimately, I've got the card, etc., to say it's legal. And my hubby went to get my chair out of the car for me when seemingly out of nowhere, this guy comes out of nowhere screaming at him that he can't park there. My hubby ignored him. He's got the patience of a saint, that guy, and continued getting my chair. Side note, it was summer and a heat wave, so I had a strappy top on. By this point, screaming guy had got level with the side I was on, so I opened the door and just leaned forward. Now, when I've got this type of top on, even if I didn't, there's no mistaking I'm disabled. I've got a very badly curved spine. Scoliosis, if you care to know. He was about to yell at me, but then I moved my hair so he could see my back. He went silent. I just looked at him, and even though I was trying not to laugh at the look on his face, I managed to keep a straight face and just said, "Disabled enough for you, sir?" Usain Bolt has nothing on this guy, the speed he ran off, LOL. Didn't even get a sorry, but we got sore sides from laughing. Wow, what a story. Peak entitlement. Good Lord. As if having your face at butt level to most people isn't bad enough. And our last story. Karen's reign of terror ends with a for sale sign. Karen used to live across the street from me. She was always bored and determined to make everyone else's life hard. What's her biggest interest? Putting her nose where it didn't belong and making mountains out of molehills. However, her husband was surprisingly good. One morning, he pulled out of their driveway too quickly and hit my husband's car, which was properly parked on the curb. He said sorry right away, gave them his insurance information, and everything was taken care of. Not a story. But Karen? Oh no, she thought that the accident happened because of us. A few days later, she walked across the street with her finger wagging like she was in charge of the area. Karen, that's not where you can park your car ever again. If you block the road like that, we can't leave our driveway. Karen, the street's pretty wide, I said, because he didn't look back before backing out. Your husband hit our car. Maybe you shouldn't have parked there in the first place, Karen said. Please keep your cars out of the way if you don't want another accident. I tried to keep the peace by saying, we'll try not to park there when we can, but it's a public street. We're allowed to use it. You need to make sure you can safely back out. You should stay out of our way, Karen said. Don't put me to the test. We didn't understand how someone could be so crazy after she stormed off. One afternoon, there was a car stopped at the curb, not ours, and Karen sped over and banged on our front door like she was crazy. My answer made her face red with anger. Karen told him, I'm going to wreck that car with my truck if you don't move it in 10 minutes. Your mistake will be the one that makes me pay for the damage to my car. Before I gently told her, "Karen, that's not even my car," I stared at her in shock. "I'll call the cops if you touch that car, though, because I have this on video of you saying it." Karen's face turned red with anger. "You can't record me. That's a breach of privacy. I'm going to sue you." Me. "Karen, you're making threats on my land. It's allowed to do this." "Please excuse me." I slammed the door in her face. The recording was kept, but she didn't touch the car. I thought we might need it later. After a few weeks, a friend parked on the curb and came over to visit. Karen slammed into her like a tornado while she was going through her trunk. "Karen, what did I tell you about where to park here? Please move your stupid car or I'll damage it myself. After I wreck it, you can buy me a new truck." "Is there somewhere else I can park that's better for you?" my friend asked to calm things down. Karen laughed. "Why don't you park it in hell? That's where you'll be after I F you up." Karen was in trouble because my friend's dash cam had been recording the whole time. She called the police quietly, gave them the video, and then watched as Karen was arrested right there on the curb for making violent and vandalized threats. After a few days, we got a letter in the mail. It was a long, mean rant that looked like it came from the entire neighborhood. It said things like, "Everyone wishes you would leave, and nobody wants you here." But the best part, Karen opened our mailbox, went through our mail quickly, and then left the letter. She must not have remembered that we have cameras here. I caught on video her opening our mailbox, going through our letters, and putting her anonymous note in the mail right away. What do you think? It's a federal crime to mess with the mail. That week, Karen was jailed again. We had strong proof at this point, including her verbal threats, the dashcam video, the mailbox damage, and of course the fact that she'd been arrested twice. All of it was used to get a protection order. A few days later, her husband came over and looked very embarrassed. He started, "Look, I just want to say sorry for everything. Karen is, well, Karen. Could we get you to drop the restraining order in any way?" After giving it some thought, I said, "Sure, I'll drop it, but there's one catch." His eyes got bright. "Anything." "She needs to say sorry to me, my husband, and my friend in a one-page letter. She also has to write down a promise that she will never get in touch with us again for any reason. Never." He says, "Yes, I'll tell her about it." But they never said sorry. Their house was put on the market the next week instead. Karen truly took the term neighborhood drama to Olympic levels. It's like she woke up every day thinking, "How can I terrorize the people across the street?" From petty threats to actual federal crimes, her descent into chaos was both baffling and honestly a little impressive in the worst way. Her husband, though, poor guy, you can tell he was just trying to salvage whatever shred of dignity they had left, but even his attempt to smooth things over fell flat. Apologies and accountability must have been foreign concepts to Karen, considering they chose to move out rather than own up. The mailbox stunt? Absolutely wild. That's not just petty, it's a literal federal offense. And the cherry on top, getting caught on camera twice and still not learning her lesson. Her arrest must have been the neighborhood entertainment highlight of the year. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.